Welcome to the Jesus and Jones podcast. I'm your host, Andon Jones, and my guests today are Joel and Niki Murphy, and they are the founders of a nonprofit called Revive Ireland. Joel and Niki, thank you so much for joining the podcast today.
Yeah, absolutely our pleasure. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. And of course, we want to talk about the nonprofit, but as well, just so the viewers get to know you, could you
Yeah.
tell the viewers a little bit about yourselves?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, the most recent wild thing would be that we're grandparents, which, really don't feel that way.
Yeah.
For that, I say recently, he's 4
Mhm.
and he's like half as tall as I am. So he's going to be a big boy.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah. So yeah, we've been married for almost 19 years. So he's going to tell a little bit about our background and then we can get
Hmm.
more into our marriage as well.
Yep.
Perfect.
Been in Birmingham myself for 25 years. I think you came along, what, 3 years later?
Yeah. I've been here 20 years this
20
year.
years, 5
Yeah.
years. Wow.
Mhm.
Went by
Wow.
quick, didn't it? So yeah, I used to be a touring musician. Um, Came out of college, came up here actually to follow a girl that wasn't this one, and we ended up parting ways. And I was in a band that was pretty successful around town, also in IT, and have been in IT in Birmingham for about 25 years. And I guess about halfway through that career with the music, I met Nikki, and we ended up getting married in 2006. And I played one day to the year with that band and retired out, just because I had somebody I wanted to spend time with and to really start a family with.
Yeah. So we
Mm.
both came from very different backgrounds. Both were raised to be believers, but
Yeah.
very polar end of the religious.
Theologically.
Yes. Yes.
Got
And
it.
so we both kind of made the same choice when we were around the same age, like just coming into like adulthood is we just kind of walked away from the Lord for a very long time. And we found
Mm.
each other actually in that season.
Wow.
And, both had been in relationships, and divorced. And then I had a son. And so when we met and married in 2006, we became a blended family, but we still were not back in a relationship with the Lord or attending a church at that point. And so that really didn't happen until 2009.
Mm.
And it's kind of funny because I just have this feeling that we've got a son and he really needs to be in church. And so I honestly Googled churches near me
Hmm.
because I thought if I'm going to talk him into going to church, then it's probably going to be close to the house. And it just happened
Yeah.
to be Church of the Highlands and the old
Wow.
Greystone campus, which was Greystone Elementary, and that was in 2009. So
Wow.
Yeah, and God just did some amazing things with us. Of course, as soon as I sat down in the seat, I heard the Holy Spirit, and it was literally just it was an eye-opening, heart-opening moment. And having been a musician for, gosh, now 40 years at the time, probably 25.
Mm.
And I saw the bass player on stage. I'm listening to it, going, "That's not that difficult, but there's something there. There's something special. There's something else that I want." And
Mm.
I had been saved at an early age, so I kind of felt like I was okay in that respect. And I ended up joining the worship team, but you have to go through this thing called Infuse. Well, Infuse was ended up being my small group, right? So I would
Hmm.
do that every Thursday night for a couple hours, and really that's where God started to peel the onion with me a little bit and really say, "Hey," and call me into a deeper relationship with Him.
Mm.
Well, along comes this one and says, "Hey, I want to lead a small group, but I don't want to do it by myself." So you know
Got
what
it.
that is, right? That's
Hmm.
immediately a marriage small group. And
Right.
God is funny in what he does. And so we started leading those small groups. They were pretty successful. And you just look up 3 years later and you're leading the marriage team, which ended up being about 1,000 people.
Wow. That's crazy.
So God really used each other to heal each other, and then to raise up a team like that. It all ended up being really a training for where we are now.
Yeah, definitely. It was almost to that two ends of the spectrum, but that God used our what we had that was right to pull us back together. So he was
Mm.
able to pour into me and give me wisdom in areas that I lacked and vice versa. So really through that process, it really took a marriage and we became stronger and stronger. The first 3 years of our marriage were pretty tough, but we weren't in church. So we didn't really have a
Makes sense.
relationship with the Lord. So we
Yeah.
weren't growing in that. But as soon as God got in the mix, and then we turned from like religion to relationship, that's where
Yes.
things started to change. And, we typically, at least in the, Southern church world, once
Mhm.
you have been divorced, you really aren't used anymore. And so I felt very uncalled or very unusable in Highlands.
Mm.
That's one of the great things about it. It doesn't matter where you've been, what you've done, what your past looks like. It's like that's actually what qualifies you.
Mhm.
Because you've lived life and you've learned and you've been able to grow and and become who you are today because of your past. And so instead of that being lost ground, that was actually a place where God used us to, share marriage with other people and grow in ministry. So it was actually a really wonderful thing. So 16 years later, we're still in Highlands. So
That's amazing. Yeah. And I know, like, even too, I don't know if I even told Joel this, but I remember I've been at Greystone doing worship development, and he didn't see me because I was like kind of off to the side. But I remember him just walking in. I think he was just coming to visit for development because it's been on Monday nights now, probably. And it's not I didn't even know Infuse was the name of it. So that's probably how long it's just been going on. And I remember
Yeah.
he just like snuck up on somebody and gave him a bear hug, and someone was like, "No way, it's Joel!" And like everybody was crowding around him. So definitely had like, in a good way, like y'all's name, and of course like Joel and this, like the ways that he's been involved with the church, like it holds weight, which says a lot about Highland because there's so many people that serve and do such a great job. So, for his name to hold weight, it's a pretty big deal. You know,
Oh, this one
um,
holds way more weight than I do.
I
yeah.
love
It's just for me. That was the only thing I've seen, and I'm like, I know Joel from because of my dad, of course.
Yeah.
But just to
it.
see that in a different world and in more ministry esque, it was really cool. So that's great. I love that.
Awesome.
Um,
Thank you.
yeah, and one thing, we mentioned the name, of course, and I love the shirt. Um, how did you guys like start this ministry, and why do you feel like the Lord called you to this ministry of Revive Ireland?
Oh gosh, this is the thing where I have to let her tell this story because we
Hmm.
both wanted to do something, right? Well, I'm the one that's Irish by blood. Of course,
Hmm.
she's guilty by association. But you want to
I'm
tell that
Scotch
story?
Irish. I'm Scotch Irish too. I've just learned this actually, but
Hmm.
yeah, it really actually started with a dream, really three dreams actually. So
Okay.
that's one of the ways that God speaks to me, and I say it's because it's the only time that I'm still and quiet. So
Yeah.
it's funny, but it's true. So I had three dreams really close together back in 2017, 2018. Um, and I was pregnant in one. I had just had a baby, and I had adopted a baby in another
Mm,
dream. And I can't have children anymore. So it was like, well, we knew that wasn't what the dream was about. So we're like, all right, Lord, what are you birthing?
mm,
And so because it was very, very non-specific, there was no details other than just this baby. And
mhm,
so I told him, I told my best friend, and I'm like, I don't really know what it means, but I think God's trying to say something's being birthed. So honestly, we didn't even know what it was at first. We just knew. And one of the things we had always wanted to do was a mission trip, and so
mhm,
Ireland. And so we've had the privilege of traveling over a lot of Europe, but Ireland was our first, and it was actually one of those things where we always would go, oh man, but it was never Ireland because of the people. The people are just so wonderful there. And
mm,
so we're like, why not do a mission trip to Ireland? Highlands had done one the year before. We're like, let's just join this one this year. I make
mhm.
a call. They're no longer doing mission trips at Highlands anymore. And we're like, drats. Well, so luckily with us being around Highlands long enough, long story short, we knew somebody that knew a pastor in Ireland. And
Mm.
so they connected
It
us.
just happened to be
Yeah.
coming over, right?
Yeah.
Because God works that way. Just happened.
Yeah. It was like 3
Yeah.
weeks. I emailed this random dude, and he emails this random lady from Alabama back. It was
Mhm,
like, and all we had to say was, we'll take you to breakfast. He was like, sure. So, but we did, we sat at that table at Big Bad Breakfast on like a weekday morning, and
yeah.
he just told us about he was born and raised there. He's 100% Irish,
Mhm,
and just the the state of Christianity there, it being the largest English speaking mission field in the world,
Wow.
less than 1% Christian, and these are things that we've been there. We had no idea
Yeah.
and how lost that country and that part of the world is. And we literally,
Mhm.
our hearts just broke as we sat there. And so we knew then we had to go,
Mhm.
because we still had no idea what it was. Were we supposed to move? Were we supposed to give, pray? What's that supposed to look like? And so
Got
he
it.
asked us, he goes, "You'll never know if you don't come." And so we were like,
Mhm.
we're there. This is February. In August, we were supposed to be there. And of course, that was literally 2 weeks before they shut down everything for COVID. So
Oh,
COVID,
wow.
so we literally were on just a wait for 2 years, which I was not
Wow.
happy about because I'm like,
Mhm.
but anyway, so in the waiting, we learned a lot. But fast forward, we finally were there. They opened the doors back up in 22. We were able to
Mhm.
go over, spend time with the church, and just get to know. Like we spent time at the church helping. We spent time in their homes. And what you'll learn about Ireland is they're very multicultural. So a lot of
Okay.
like the pastors, a lot of them are married to Brazilian women. So like,
Okay.
so you have all this different culture. One of our best friends over
Mhm.
there, she's Irish, her husband's South African. So like
Okay.
we had no idea that that's how it
Yeah.
was.
Mhm.
And so we got to just know all these different faiths and cultures and these mixing of families and what a disadvantage they are there just because there's not a lot of churches and there's not a lot of
Mhm.
Christians. And
Got it.
so, we knew then that they had a special place in their heart and we had a calling to help them.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, right now, it's not to live there. I would love to be there. That's another story.
Got
But
it.
we knew that God was calling us back to kind of, you know, raise the flag and wave the banner and beat the drum and say, hey, yeah,
Yeah.
we're talking about, China and we're talking about, the 1040 window, but what about this continent over here that isn't saved?
Yeah,
Mhm.
And
there's
so,
Yeah.
way more to that too.
yeah,
Now, things that we know now.
yeah,
It says the word is a light unto your feet.
Mhm.
It's just your foot and maybe the little bit in front of you so that you take that step. It's not this big fog lamp that's out in front of you.
yeah.
It's
Mhm.
literally saying you take a step and the Lord shows up and he shows up over time. And since then, we've learned how very much important Ireland is to the rest of the world. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later, I'm sure.
And
Yeah.
well, and honestly, I'm glad it's just a lamp unto your feet because if God had showed us, I mean, the tiny picture that we had at the beginning was scary enough because we're just thinking
Mhm.
Ireland. That's an entire country. That's
Yeah.
5.4 million people. That's a big job. But
Mhm.
before we knew it, it had grown. Now we have churches in more than one country. So thank God he didn't show us that at the beginning because we probably would have never taken that first step. So
Mhm.
because we're just thinking one country's a lot. But I thought
Mhm.
you might want to tell the story about before I end it about the Gatorade.
Oh, the Gatorade cooler.
Because
Okay.
honestly, I think for a little while I might have drugged him, like because it was my dream, and I'm the one that kind of started the calling, kind of started to push on the doors. I think he was almost like, not sure
Mhm.
exactly 100%. So, but
Well,
Yeah.
this was the moment. So
yeah. So, I mean, we're a single income family. I'm the breadwinner. I've been working for Zoom for many years now. And, but while I wasn't working for Zoom when we went over the first time, no, yeah, I was.
yeah,
Yeah, it was at that point. Sorry, the
barely.
years kind of run together, just barely. And
Mhm.
so after we did church on Sunday with them, which is we've done the setup and tear down thing, for multiple campuses. I've gone and helped. I've played at a lot of the campuses at Highlands, and so
Yeah.
helped with
Mhm.
that setup and tear out. So we just jumped in and just start helping. Well, the next day we go to their staff meeting, and that's where they discuss all the wins and were there any problems. They want to celebrate, and then of course they wrap it up with prayer, right?
Mhm.
So they go around the room and they start praying, and Pastor Jamie Corcoran, the senior pastor there, asked me to pray for provision, which I thought was funny.
Yeah.
Um, but this little girl from Northern Ireland behind me starts to pray, and Not that I understand a single word that came out of her mouth. The accent from Northern Ireland is way different from the Republic. And if you go from county to county, it's even different. There's so many different dialects, but I really couldn't
Yeah.
understand her. But when she started to pray, it felt like somebody, the Gatorade bucket that they bring out when
When
the
a coach,
coach
yeah.
wins the Super Bowl and he
Hmm.
dumps it over.
Yeah.
It's like somebody took one of those Gatorade coolers full of the Holy Spirit and dumped it all over me, and
Wow.
about knocked me in the floor. I mean,
Wow.
it was one of the most palpable experiences of the Lord's presence that I've ever felt. And I knew in that instant that I was where I needed to be doing what I was supposed to be doing, even though at that point we really didn't know what it is that we were going to do.
Right.
Got it.
Yeah. So when
That's
we
wild. That's
came back
crazy.
home, we were like, I don't know what we're gonna do, Lord, but we're doing it. Whatever you
We're going to don't know what it is. We're going to do something.
because part of our
Hmm.
heart stayed there. We just fell in love with the people and
Yeah.
how hard they work. It was for so little. And so we came back home, and just in a matter of months, Pastor Sam calls us and goes, "Hey, would you like to come over and help us launch our third location?" We didn't pray, we didn't talk, we didn't look at each other. We were both like, "Yes, we're there. Tell us
Hmm.
when." And
Hmm.
so this was in the fall, and they were like, "But can you come back in May or March?"
Yeah.
We said, "We'll be there. We'll be there.
Hmm.
We're buying our tickets." So we spent a month back there helping to launch their third campus, which they're the only multi-campus church in Ireland. And
Hmm.
so
Crazy.
ever. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So
crazy.
they're doing some great things, Pastor Jamie.
Hmm.
And so which is Pastor Sam's brother. And
Got it.
so
Okay.
so now there's fixing up was, about to be a third location. So we go, we spend the month. It's hard work, it's fun work, it's exhausting work, like and so we get to the end of the month, and we're sitting down with Pastor Julian and Pastor Rebecca for breakfast before we go home. We're kind of once again kind of sharing the wins, what could we do better or different. And at the very end, Pastor Julian looks at me and he goes, "You know what this last month has been like?" And I was like, "What?" And he goes, "It's like when you first have a baby."
Hmm.
And he goes, "You don't know, you love it, but you have no idea what you're going to do with it." And it just, that at that moment, and I hadn't probably thought about that dream in a while, it just hit me in the
Right.
face. And I
Yeah.
began to cry, and he knew why I was
I
crying.
mean, immediately.
Pastor Ewan's like,
Yeah.
"What's going on here?" But I was like,
Yeah. What's going on?
but that's when God was like, "This is part of the dream. This is one of your dreams." And so when we
Mm.
left there, that was the hardest time for me to ever leave, because for me, who is a mother and a grandmother, I birthed a baby there. I helped to birth a baby there. And then I left
Yeah.
it to come home to
Hmm.
be able to do the things that God's called us to do. And so
Yeah.
it was really, really, I wrestled with the Lord. I wrestled with Joel. I cried, and
Hmm.
and so, but when I got back home, and Joel, and of course, the Lord let me, kind of have my pity party. But he was like, "The reason you have to go back home is because we're going to do that again.
Yep.
And so I
Hmm.
need you here to be able to be ready for that." And so
Got it.
I was like, "Okay, Lord, I can get down with that." So I
Well,
came
we
back.
joke and kid all the time
Mhm.
about how Jesus and Joel said I had to come home.
Yeah.
She says a lot. I mean, she's not telling a
Oh,
story there, because
no.
I knew, I didn't know that we were supposed to go live over there yet, or what that was going to look like. And
Okay.
that whole thing about the three being pregnant and then having a baby and then adopting a baby. As we've kind of gone through this ministry process, we've seen all three of those phases.
Wow. Yeah.
So that was kind of full circle for me from the beginning of the dream, and truly a dream, and then seeing it come to fruition, and then knowing that that's the cycle, God's going to have us in. And
Hmm.
so then we're like, "All right, Lord, you just have to show us specifically what this needs to look like. How can we take Revive Ireland and hone it and make it what it is and what it needs to be?" So
Yep.
Wow. So it was like it's just like a full clarity moment of just like, oh Lord, I see what you're saying even years ago, and I like it. Well, that's insane. That's really cool.
mhm.
Um, I know you mentioned it already, and I just want to make sure, like, just so like the viewers know, who are some of your partners. So like the people that you're partnering with, whether it's in Ireland or like back here in Alabama, who are some of your partners whether it's churches, people specifically? Who are your partners?
I think probably we should give you a little more of an idea because it'll explain it. It's kind of
Okay.
what Revive is,
Yes.
and
Okay.
I think you do a really good job of explaining what we do.
Okay.
And then I'll come back and talk about the other stuff.
Yeah. So we empower pastors,
Hmm.
strengthen churches, which transforms lives. So how we do
Yes. Okay.
that is through people or prayer, people, and provision. So
Okay.
so we basically we partner with these churches in Ireland. So we all of our churches thus far have been vetted through ARC Europe.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
doesn't
Got it.
just mean to say that they'll always be that. It's just the
Hmm.
organization that we know and we trust because it's Pastor Jamie's. He's the one who started that, which was the first church that we ever attended. And
Got it.
so we know that those churches are heavily vetted and
Right.
they're on the same mission that we're on, but then we
Hmm.
vet them ourselves as well. So we make sure that they're on, and Joel will talk a little bit more about that in a second, but to make sure
Yeah.
that they're on the same mission as us as well. But we come alongside them and make sure that we have a prayer team here. And so it's on WhatsApp, and we have people from all over the United States plus all over the world, pastors that
Mm.
we join together and just pray and cover one another
Wow.
each and every day. And so we want to make sure that's the first thing. That's the first thing we did was start that prayer team.
Okay.
And we want to make sure that every pastor knows that they're being prayed for. And if there's a specific need that, like, for instance, one of our pastors in England had a child diagnosed with leukemia the 1st of
Mm.
January. And we spent 200 straight days on the prayer app praying for her. And every time there was a
Hmm.
specific need that came up about her care, people were on it
You're
and we
on
were
it.
praying for
Yeah.
her. So that's specifically for that reason. So what those people don't feel like they're out there alone doing life, that they know they have a team of people who are covering here. And so, and then of course,
Before you go from that, let me
Yeah.
give you a praise report real quick. That little
Yeah.
girl's name is Anna Grace, and as
Okay.
of now, she is completely free of cancer.
yep.
Wow. That's amazing. That's a blessing.
Yeah, she had a bone marrow transplant. It's 100% taken, and she still has to go to the hospital a lot. But you want to talk about prayer works? That little girl's got a call on her life, and I think she's probably coming up on.
She's 5 years old.
Yeah, I know she was 5, but
She turned 5 the
Wow.
first day of her chemo. She was 4 when she was diagnosed. But yeah, she's
Oof.
she's a miracle because there were some times we weren't so sure
Mhm.
that God would heal her this side of heaven. But yeah, we had days of prayer and fasting for her over the course of that 200 days that she was
yeah,
in the
this is
hospital.
globally. This is not just
Yeah.
Right.
Birmingham. This
Yeah.
is
We
this
have
is everywhere.
we have people out in Colorado. There's a team out there praying. We have people, of course, then all the pastors are praying for one another as well. So
Right.
it's
That's amazing.
it's really cool thing. And then of course the people part is mission trips. So we'll take people over for to plant those churches
Hmm.
and different things like that. Whatever the need is, we'll try to put together a team and go help. But planting is one of our big ones that we want
Yeah.
to make sure.
Helping them launch.
Yeah.
ARC is the one. They're kind of the planning organization, and we'll talk about the 99+1 project we're actually working on right now,
Okay.
which has a lot to do with how you have the shepherd will leave the 99 and go after the one,
Hmm.
but who's looking after the shepherd? Who's making
Right.
sure the shepherd can stay in the field, can still go after those sheep? And the more you understand about Ireland, their economy, their form of government, their socialist nation, they're taxed very heavily, 25 to 40%,
Ooh, that's a
right?
lot.
So there's
Yeah.
no tithing culture,
Hmm.
so really trying to
Understandable.
help come alongside and help bolster them and lift them up. So if you have hands and feet, able bodies that can do things,
Hmm.
that's super helpful when you come alongside them and launch, whether you're there for the week before and then the week of and then the week after, helping,
Got it.
especially since a lot of people in this that are on the team have that specific knowledge, right? We've all been part of
Hmm.
Islands for a long time. We've all been part of teams. So we know how to follow, but we also know how to lead and kind of lend that hand and give that wisdom and knowledge as well. So when
Got
we
it. Okay.
build teams like that are, whether it's for those mission trips like the one that we just got back from, which was
Hmm.
incredible. or if it's these short-term or long-term internships, and just, people that are looking to be in the mission field, right? The harvest
Yeah.
is plentiful, but the workers are few, right?
Mm-hmm.
And over there,
and
they're real few.
they're pretty scarce for sure. That being able to put those people out there as a resource, and they come fully funded, so that's stress. They don't have to worry about being paid.
That's what Highland or what Revive does, is help them fully fund to go over there.
Yeah, we help them
That's amazing.
fundraise scholarship where we can, so
That's
that
great.
they can go over and be there and take that burden off those pastors, right? So that's
Yeah.
a portion of it, and that kind of leads into the provision piece as well, where
Got
we
it.
try to meet practical needs. We have some goals. We need to reach 1,500 donors at $100 a month, and what that would really do is help 30 churches at 50,000 euros a year.
Wow.
That's massive to them in terms, like, if you're making 25,000 euros a year over there, you're doing pretty good.
Got
Right.
it. Okay.
You have some government
Understand.
assistance and they're taxing you heavily, but that's a great wage for them over there. So
That's
being
amazing.
able to come alongside and bring resources and help them launch, and then actually come in with the practical as well. We're really just trying to keep them in the game,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that they
Okay.
can do what they're there to do.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Understand.
Yeah, and I wanted to say too, like, one of the things about most of the pastors over there are not paid full time. Some of them aren't paid at all.
Okay.
So
They're bivocational.
they're bivocational. So like
Mhm.
we might have a pastor that's paid part time, but we have a church in Northern Ireland that when the board decided they opened the church, as they're only a couple of years old, they were both going to get a part time wage, him and her, because they both over there, the husbands and wife both pastor.
Right. Okay.
And so, but because the financial stuff wasn't coming in, now they've had to drop his. So they're doing 2 full-time jobs with 1 half-time pay
Wow.
in a country where the pound is $1.37 to our dollar. So like, I mean, the cost of living is pretty steep. So we
Yeah.
want those people to be able to, when they start the church, when ARC delivers the baby, we want to see it thrive, right? We
Okay.
don't want them just, this ARC's great about, as far as, just the support after, to help them, teach them tools and how to grow and things like that. But there's no financial help after that. Eventually there's a payback actually too. So we want to come alongside so they're not having to be bivocational. And
Right.
so they can fully devote their time to the church and being out there, because there's so few of them in the church that are even, helping. So they need to have every second they can, devoted to being there at the church, not at another job. So
Yep.
Yeah,
To be
of
about
course.
what they're there to do. And you asked a question about who we partner with.
Mhm.
That process for the church is, the ones that we're going to support and bring into the Revive network. That's one of the things we touched on, is we asked them 2 questions. One is, what's your plan for the next generation? Because the next generation is the hope of the world. It really
Right.
is, because that next generation are the ones that are bringing people to church now. Even a kid
Right.
that asked for an electric scooter so that he could go to church early to help set up. Well, the guy wasn't even
Wow.
old enough to drive, and he's like, "Hey, I want to get there early to help."
I want to help.
It's
Yeah.
those kids that are bringing the parents into church. And then the next question is what are your plans for growth? So,
Okay.
and they will lay out their plans for, hey, in the next 3 to 5 years, this is what we're hoping, this is what we think the team is going to look like, and what our youth side is going to look like, what our college is going to look like. And, it's having that defined plan so that we know that they're going to be around for the long haul, and that they're going to have that the youth coming in to help it continue to grow.
Got it. That's great insight. Um, I know you said we mentioned Lighthouse, the church in Ireland. How has it been having a a very supportive church through ARC that just helped like support and promote the ministry, especially just like when y'all are there, but even when y'all are like in Alabama? Like what has that been like?
Oh my gosh.
we couldn't do it without them,
Yeah,
especially Lighthouse.
yeah. But on this side, if there had been no Highlands,
Mm-hmm.
there would be no Revive.
Mm-hmm.
The
Right.
fact that
Okay.
it just provided such a place where we could actually, one, learn what our calling is, be trained, all the way through from leadership and know how to be a part of the team and to feel God's call on our lives and be encouraged to step out and take that step. If there had been no more than that, that would have been enough. But we've
Right.
also, we've got a network of people within Church of the Highlands, whether they just attend, whether they serve on the team, some leadership here and there, that have been extremely supportive of us.
Amazing. Yeah.
And then, we've grown to where, we're actually partnered with Highlands College. And so that we can, and we've taken several students, or actually had a couple students go over as interns, took one with us this past trip. Right. And it just continues to grow. So they've done
Great.
well. It's just a growing partnership. And that's our plan, is to partner with as many ministry schools as we can. So as we have opportunities like this, because the number of churches that needs those hands and feet is not going to go down.
Right.
And
It's
the
going to
network,
increase.
the
Yeah.
network keeps expanding in churches that need those people to come over there fully funded.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I'd say it's taken a while. It's how has that been? But anything that grows like this, it's better for it to grow at kind of a slower rate, so that you can build up a strong base. A builder never builds a house without counting the cost, right?
Right.
So it gives us time to prepare and learn the hearts of those that come onto the team too.
Yeah. And we
Got
talk about Lighthouse.
Oh yeah.
So Lighthouse, we've got several churches in Ireland that help us, but Lighthouse, now that about to have its 4th location, they're like speed dial. So Pastor Sam, which is the original pastor, I mean, he's like, number one, I call him my pastor, whether he likes it or not. But
Okay.
but no, even though honestly, I'm almost probably old enough to be his mom. He's only 30 years old, but he's so wise. But Pastor Sam, God put us together in that very beginning.
Yeah.
I always say him and Joel are like long lost brothers. They're very much alike. But Pastor Sam has, like, literally, I can text him any day and he always responds back. If I have questions or who do I need to talk to, he's basically one of our best friends over there. And but that whole staff has just opened us, been open to us, just like we're family now.
Anything that we need, if we need, videos, testimonies,
Pictures.
And even last year, as an example, we did a St. Patrick's Day kickoff brunch ahead of time. It was called The Real St. Patrick. And a lot of people don't know, what that story really is. So we brought in 5 pastors from Ireland, some in the Republic, some in the North, to talk about the real St. Patrick. Things like the fact that his name wasn't Patrick, that he wasn't Irish.
Okay.
And he wasn't a Catholic. He wasn't a Catholic either.
No way.
Nope.
That's crazy.
He was actually from Wales. He was Welsh. His name was Maiwan Succat, and he was actually a prisoner of the Celts. Just to tell him. So they told this story and related that back to some of the people from somebody else we partnered with, the Birmingham Irish Cultural Society, to people there and the rest of the team, about how significant he was to them and their culture. So got some really good partners over there.
Yeah. So
that's great.
And we have another church in the north that he talked about, Abbey Life. And we have another church actually that's kind of south of Dublin, and that's D24. So those 3 churches, we have a lot more than that, but those 3 particular churches are the ones that we can call on kind of day or night, and whatever we need. If we need something, for our social media or anything, they're always happy to give us whatever we need. Because the thing is, eventually it turns back to benefit them, which is great. So, but they do really believe. We spent time with all 3 of those churches while we were there in May. The team got to know those churches, and everybody just fell in love with them and what they're doing. And they're all kind of in different stages of their growth. But man, just to see those people doing what they do and to see their heart for their nation and for their town, it's just. They're amazing. So
suffice it to say that everybody on the team, and this is something that we prayed for this last trip, was all the people we took over there. We asked for a God moment that would take that head knowledge and make it heart knowledge and just light them on fire. And we got to see it happen every single time.
Mm-hmm.
That's
every
amazing.
single person.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so great.
Thing.
I love that. I might go a little off script here because I know like that's the great thing about like when I have questions prepped, it's always like the Lord almost like it helps like answer questions I already have, which is great.
Of course.
And I just want to make sure and ask this because you're helping me before we started it about just like with technical things. With you like being so great with tech and having discipline to be so, you know, so great at instrument for most of your life, like how has that helped with outreach, especially with your wife as well and just her heart? Like how is y'all teaming together? How has that worked to just like to just honestly make this as big as it has as it is right now, and just for the Lord to anoint it and for it to just to keep on growing? So like how is what you're really great at and what she's really great at, how's the Lord used that and like worked together to make it what it is and what it's going to be?
I've got, you know, a lot of times I joke with people and I say, you know, I'm just a musician and an engineer
Yeah.
and you know, I can figure out something. I'll probably get somewhere with it. And then she's good at everything and we don't like her for that. Right.
Okay.
There's always that
Yeah.
one in the group. It's like, I can do it all. Well, guys have just really anointed her. But what it really comes down to is obedience and surrender. You know, we have to leave this thing like this. And when you talk about like growing a team, like it's gone from the 2 of us to 13 of us
Yeah. Crazy.
in less than a year, to where there's a couple out in Colorado right now that will be us. We joke and we call it the Denver campus, the West campus over there of Revive, you know, but they are capable of actually leading at the level that it needs to be led out there. But really, when God being obedient to the calling, and then you know, just you have to set your will once you've accepted the job, if you will, right? And then you
Yeah.
set your will that nothing's going to deter you. You know, you stay close to God, and then you're surrendered to Him and His will in it, and it's just going to be accomplished. You know, so that's also part of the reason that we stay covered in prayer, because the enemy does not like it at all. And we actually had to warn all the people that went on this trip, like, look, the enemy's not going to like you going and doing this. And sure enough,
there was
quite a few of them
one thing after another
got attacked by one thing or another. So
Yeah.
it really comes down to that obedience and really being submitted to Him.
Yeah. And you know, it's funny that you said that, because Joel and I were actually in the car this morning. We're headed to a doctor's appointment. And I said, you know why God picked us, right? And he was like, I said, because we just do not give up. Like we just won't give up. We're so stubborn.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you this, and I've actually told somebody this recently, is that Joel and I, while we do have a lot of like little skills that we can, you know, definitely bring to the table, but what we're doing as a whole, and God's given us a lot of skills that we use. You know, I'm a travel planner, so that comes in handy when you're taking 13 people to Ireland. You know, it's great when you don't have a bass player for a month. He played bass for a month while we were in Ireland. You know, so we do have some basic skills that God has given us. But honestly, with what we're doing, you know, you've heard the scripture or the saying where it talks about, you know, you go ankle deep and then knee deep and then waist deep, and you know, but honestly, we are over our heads is probably an understatement. You know, like when we stepped off into
fully
this,
immersed.
we really didn't have any idea of what all it was going to entail. But I tell people all the time, it's the first time is so scary. It's scary stepping into that, because you think I am way out of my comfort zone in all areas. And so, you know, but when you finally do just surrender and step into it and it goes over your head, it's actually quite freeing, because, and I'm not saying there's never any fear or anxiety ever, because sometimes there is. But for the most part, it's one of those things where you're like, I'm past Nikki. Nikki can't do this. Like Joel can't do this. We don't have it in us to accomplish what God's called us to do, to reach a nation, you know, that's across the pond with 5 million people. We're not, the 2 of us are not capable of that, but He is. And all He's asking me to do is to be obedient, like He said before. So as long as I just am obedient to what it is He's called me to do, then it's actually a really great place to be over your head, because I know I'm not relying on myself anymore.
Yep.
I'm
Mhm.
relying on God fully. There are days where I'm like, Lord, you're going to have to help me with Canva today because I don't really know what I'm doing today. Sometimes it's that basic,
Yeah.
like I'm beyond myself. I've never
Mhm.
written a newsletter, whatever,
Mhm.
just things like that. So I tell people all the time, I'm like, don't be scared of that. It's actually a really wonderful thing, because
Mhm.
you're no longer relying on your own strength. You're relying on the strength and wisdom of the Lord, which is so much better than our own.
Yeah.
And
Of
I'd say
course.
it takes some humility too, because, like I said earlier, I had one of my mentors that I said, I don't have this background. And he goes, great. I don't have to unteach any bad habits. And he said, Joel, innovation never came from somebody that's in the box.
Mhm. I love
So
that.
that
That's
was
good.
intensely freeing for me, but it also allows you to be humble and say, hey, I don't know it, but I got to find somebody who does.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
God uses that to grow relationships and to give you the tools in the toolbox you need to be successful.
Right.
No, yeah. Um, the crazy thing about like the way I found out about the nonprofit was through Larry Gilden. I mean, I think I might have mentioned that to you,
Yeah,
because me and him, he before he left for Mississippi, he was like, "Hey man, like let's hang out," and I always definitely like threw it to the side of like, "Yeah, I'm busy," and then I was like, "Lord, like I haven't seen him in a really long time, and he's about to leave. Like I need to see him. It's been a while, and
yeah,
especially too when I was really involved with the church before I took a 4 year hiatus, from God and everything in total. He was one of those guys that like I remember talking to him, and it was one of those moments he was like, "Man, I've been praying for this moment for us to like meet each other again and do these things." And of course, we just have a great conversation. And he's like, he starts telling me about the ministry, and he's like, he just mentions your name, and I'm like, I know that name. Like, I'm better with faces, but I was like, I know that name. And he's like, tell me all the thing, which is like so great. And of course, even like, I mean, him being amazing at jump, like that's not even like what his full like job title with what he's doing right now, like being a basically like a youth director at a church in Mississippi. But I mean, like the way that you're able to get the whole worship team, like really, really big, like great, that God's put them in those places because, same thing, humility and obedience, because talent only gets you so far that just like you're able to partner with them and with Highlands in such a great way. And that's like honestly leads into like, honestly, the last question that I have, of course, but I know we're going to talk about other things of just like, um, what does recruiting look like? Cause I know we talked about it, but like if there's maybe even more like specific details of just like recruiting and not even just recruiting, but training, right? Like what does training look like for the ministry and for this nonprofit? And like how, because you said like planning events and trips, like how do you guys set that up and what does it look like?
I'll take the recruiting portion of it. So,
Yeah.
recruiting a lot of times in the beginning is just really having conversations with people and allowing God to make those connections, because
Mm-hmm.
there's been so many God moments in this entire thing, sending you the right person to talk to at the right time. And,
Mm-hmm.
just having conversations like, hey, man, what have you been doing? "Oh, I've been over in Ireland." They go, "What? Really? I've always wanted to go to Ireland. Really?"
Yeah.
And you start having those types of conversations, and then you find out that, that they have a heart for Europe and maybe they have a heart for kids. Like, okay, well, yeah, well, we've got this opportunity coming up. Is this something you think you might be interested in? Just, first we always say pray about it, talk to your spouse and you guys pray about it, and then, we'll get back together. Just let us know. And, we don't push it on anybody.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk to people, if they
Right.
ask, and give them the story, much like we've done here.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, we just let go and let God. That's that surrendered piece,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
right? And every single time somebody comes back and says, "Yeah, tell me more about that." And yeah, I just really feel called to go over and help with kids, which is not our calling. We love kids, but it's definitely kids' church. That's just a different person.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, you're
There's a
right.
special anointing for the
That's
diapers.
why those
You're
spots were
right. You're
already
right.
filled.
Yes.
God knew it wasn't us.
They are.
Got it. Okay. Good.
We actually already have the people that really just want to do that and change
Like,
dirty diapers.
It is
That's
yours.
good.
Yeah.
That's good.
But yeah, so I mean, as far as that recruiting goes, I mean, and then it's it's a it's a bit of development, if you will, a development character, being around, being in relationship, and then really finding out if, like, anybody that's on the team has been around us for a long time. Like we've had a long time to be able to see them who they are, their walk, the good, the bad, and all of that thing. So these are people that are on Revive team that we want to be in relationship for a while. And I'm sure you've seen that in other places where it takes that long look to really make sure, one, that they're where they want to be, doing what they feel like they're called to do, and and we have to judge whether they'd fit the team or not, that kind of thing. So training wise, I'm going to let her talk about that, but I will say that one of the things that we have to tell people is turn off your American and turn off your Highlands.
Turn off your Highlands.
You're going into. I mean, Highlands just does a fantastic job at everything, really.
Right.
I mean, we know how to do the systems. We have a method for this. We have a method for turning the water bottle label forward so that it's aesthetically pleasing and doesn't stress somebody out. We heard that earlier.
I don't have that gift.
Yeah, neither one of us do. But all the way down to how you do production, how you do worship, and all these systems are so great. Well, they're not that way over there, so you have to kind of turn, even though again, this is that humility piece. It is just, being hands and feet, and allowing them to ask. And then, of course, turning off your American, because we are blessed over here beyond blessed with the conditions we live in, the jobs that we have, the cars that we drive, the houses that we live in, all of those things. And so it's not that way over there. So you kind of got to get used to some things like them not really having air conditioning.
Wow.
Yeah. Or not very good air conditioning.
Or not very good air conditioning is rarely used because they don't need it.
Yeah, it's rare.
Got
it. It's crazy because we're people. Like we're natural born connectors. We don't know a lot, but we know a lot of people that know a lot, and that's really how we work. And so that's working smarter, not harder. But it's one of those things where I have learned through my years of just leadership is I never want to, we have to do everything. We started this, so we're doing things we might not be good at or don't like. You know what I mean? Because it's just part of it. It's kind of like when you're a parent and you have a baby. If you don't like to change a dirty diaper,
it's all brand new to you.
You just got to do it, right?
Yeah.
So because it's yours, it's your baby. But it's one of the things that all of our team pitches in and does whatever we need done, but we don't want people to serve there in a long-term capacity if it's not their calling. So we want people to find, if we have a list of things that need to be done, look through it and see what's, what fits with your personality and your calling. Let me not just give you a task because it's a task that needs to be done. Sometimes that happens. We all do it. But if it's your long-term serve with Revive, we want you to feel like you're in a place where, you that fits your calling. You know what I mean? And so, obviously, if you can't play an instrument, you're not going to be helping with worship. You can't. That's not going to work. So we don't ever want anybody to fit in our world. We want them to come in and find their place so they can grow and thrive. And so, but God's been really good to send us people. And of course, our best friends, it's a husband, wife, and then a single girl. They have been with us from the start, and they've been literally our right hands for a long time. And so they were there to do all the things that we needed done in the beginning, that we couldn't do ourselves. But God's been so faithful just to send us people from the most random, weird places, and so it's just like, you know who we need, and you know what we need, and when we need it. So you just send them, and we'll be looking for them. And so the people who are going to be taking over and helping do a lot of what we do out in Colorado is who hired Joel in Zoom. It was his boss.
No way. That's crazy.
He's one of my best friends in the world.
Yeah. We became friends with him and his wife.
He's amazing.
And we just invited him to go along on this mission trip with us. And then we saw, they're older than us. They had tons of potential, but we'd never wanted them to come back and just make them fit. We wanted them to want it. And when they came back, we were like, we know. And we're like, well, we think we know where you need to be. You tell us, we'll tell you. And it lined up, we both had the same thought and calling on their lives. So we were like, yay. And then the other couple that we have that's on our lead team, the Watsons, they actually were in a small group with somebody that we've known for years and found out that he is actually an Irish citizen who'd never been to Ireland. And just recently gotten his citizenship, and they connected us. And so it's
Oh, wow.
just this most, random, weird ways that we've met some of the people that are on our team. But it's amazing at how they come along and they're like the pieces to the puzzle that we're missing and they fit. And so
Mm-hmm.
God's just kind of organically been growing this team with some people we've known for years and some people we've only known for a little time. And so,
Mm-hmm.
and then students, he's brought us students that have a love for this country. And, so
Mm-hmm.
it's amazing. And then of course, training, when we train these people to go over, he talked about that, but their motto is the flexible shall not be easily broken.
Mm.
The Irish are a lot of things, but they are not the biggest planners. So
Okay.
you have to
Nor are
be,
they punctual.
or they're punctual.
If they tell you, hey, we'll
Okay.
be there in 30 minutes, you're looking at an hour and a
Yeah.
half.
So,
Okay. An hour and a half. Okay.
and that doesn't always fit with some people's personality, right? So we tell
Yeah.
everybody, we're just like, you have to be flexible. You may think you're going to get up and do one thing, it may be something totally different. And
Mm-hmm.
so if you're not humble and you're not flexible, you will go home and you will be miserable because
Mm.
that's just how it works over there. They're very flexible, fluid, so we do a lot of training and probably even need to do even more as we go along for that. And so we're working actually with another couple, the Dukes that lead Freedom from Grandview, but they also
Okay.
take mission trips. They've taken lots of mission trips, so they're going to be part of our team to help with that as well, so we can really make sure people are truly as trained as they can be before they go over. But and then
That's
of course
great.
the event planning for those trips is it's all me.
Mm-hmm.
So
She used to be a travel planner and she's amazing at it.
but I do love it. So
That's
that's
amazing.
what's great.
Yeah.
And so we've got 3 trips going next year that I'm already in the planning process. So we just got home, 2 months ago.
Yeah.
So we have back to back in the first week of March, the first 10 days of March, the
Mm-hmm.
second 10 days of March will be back to back to help launch the Swords campus of Lighthouse Church, which
Wow.
is just north of Dublin, or it's actually in Dublin, but at the airport. So that will
Mm-hmm.
go. And then in June, we'll be taking another team. We now have a Revive conference team. So
Wow.
that our best friends, the ones that our OG friends, they
Mm-hmm.
are actually going to be building a Revive conference team / freedom team. So we're going to be
Wow.
leading freedom groups online for those pastors, bringing those pastors over and doing the final training here
And so they
Great.
go.
so they can go to the conference. And then they're going to actually, anytime there needs to be a conference. So for instance, in June of next year, ARC Europe will have its first conference in Liverpool. We're going to take a
Amazing.
team led by Heather and Dave McKinnish over there next year to actually help serve behind the scenes. Because if they don't, the pastors themselves have to serve. And so
Okay.
that kind of
Got it.
defeats the purpose of them
Right.
being
Yeah.
fed.
Remember what we said,
Mhm.
empowering pastors, right?
Yeah.
Right. Of course.
So,
Right.
and
That's
that was
great.
all, honestly, we took them to serve at this conference, not thinking that they would, like, that was not our intent. But as
Mm-hmm.
soon as we got on the bus after the conference, Heather goes, we want to start a conference team and we want to start helping
Mm-hmm.
with these conferences. They need it. And we're like, they absolutely do. You run
Thank
with
you.
it,
Yeah.
we'll support you. So
Amazing.
that's what we want from our team too. We want them
Yes.
to have
Mhm.
those visions, and then how can us as the founders support them in that,
Yeah.
so.
Exactly.
No, that's great.
It's let them walk out their calling, them see a need and fill it,
Mhm.
and to be fulfilled themselves. There's nothing more painful than to have somebody else tell you, yeah, no, maybe you ought to go do something else when you know exactly what your calling is.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. No, I definitely understand that. And man, I'll say it's been a blessing to get to talk to you guys. I feel like there's even like more questions. I can't think of them at the moment, but there's even more questions I want to ask. And I would love for just with me about to start Highlands College in the next less than a week. That's definitely
Yeah.
something I want to make sure, yeah, yes, thank you. It's definitely like, I want to make sure. Yeah. And it's definitely something I want to make sure to like mention to people and make
Yes,
sure, but
please
I mean,
do.
I know there's always teams, or not teams, but there's people that that always make sure and tell people about. I want to be a part of that, and I'll definitely be interested in going on a trip if I the opportunity presents itself, of course, too. And something I want to say is like, is there anything else that you guys would want to just leave the viewers with, or even just something you guys want to promote just to
Yeah.
leave them with a great message or scripture.
Yeah, I wanted to talk, the last thing we kind of want to talk, and he mentioned it earlier about
Yeah.
the $1,500 and $100. So we've never,
Yes.
we've had some campaigns in the past for specific things.
Hmm.
And the people who have donated are we have some of the best donors, and they've been so faithful to help anytime thing rises. But we definitely are in the process now. We want to create what he talked about, the 99+1 project.
Hmm.
So this could be person to pastor, church to pastor, business to pastor, whatever that looks like. And
Yeah.
of course, like you said, it's based on Luke 15. So the shepherd leaves, the one or the 99 to go after the one, but who goes after the shepherd? Who's taking care of the
Hmm.
shepherd to make sure that they're healthy, well, thriving, the church is thriving. And so we
Hmm.
wanted to create this 99+1 project because we want people to be able, like you could adopt a pastor.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay,
then
great.
with that, so a lot of times when people are giving to a nonprofit, they're just giving to a vision, right?
Hmm.
Oh, we're going to
Hmm.
help churches in Ireland. And that's good. And we need people like that because we need
Hmm.
to have the infrastructure to
Yeah.
we do have to, pay for the MailChimp and all those other things. But to be able to know, if you knew that every month you were given $100 and you knew that was going to Pastor Sam Corcoran, and that every month you're going to be, or every quarter, you're going to be able to get videos from him and letters from him and pictures of his church and what they're doing and see them grow and thrive.
Hmm.
To me, I mean, that's just that's a win-win. And so people
Yeah.
actually are able to kind of like see where your money's going. So it's a real person, a
Hmm.
specific place, and it's visible, and you'll be able to see it transform and grow and thrive. And so
It's
it's
amazing.
more than just that, blank, it's going out there to a country. So it says it gives supporters someone to pray for, root for, and invest in.
Got
And
it.
so we would love, as we're going to push this out here very soon. We're actually working
Hmm.
on everything. We want to make sure that people know that when they do that, whatever that donation looks like, we'll have different levels. And so, but even at $100, like you said, at $100 a month, and your donation's going to, say, Pastor Sam, that you
Hmm.
would be able to follow him personally, his story, see him when he comes to Birmingham, those type
Yeah.
of things. To be able to watch that is, to me, is pretty special. And
Hmm.
if we have that, these pastors won't have to work those second jobs. They can
Right.
devote their time to their churches. And to me, if they could give it their full attention, how much more would
Yeah.
those churches be able to thrive?
Yeah.
So,
And there's a phrase here, your legacy, their victory,
mhm.
right?
Mm.
Your lasting legacy with the gifts of God has given you, whether that be financial, your time, whatever that is, your prayer,
Yeah.
that equals their victory because they need all of those things.
Mhm.
Yeah. No, and I think that's so cool because it's more of like an interactive, and like you're not able just like to just give money and say, man, like I know somebody's gonna really take care of it, but you're able to see the person, right? Like
Mhm.
it's something that's like it reminds me of like when we get to heaven and we've donated money and we've served these different, like you don't even know the impact that God's like able to make through you. And this you're able
Yeah.
to not you're not able to see everything. You're not able to see all the people that he's speaking to, and like able to like have more time to vote to things because of the money that you're providing for him. But then you're able to see him. And then when you get to heaven someday, say, hey, this is the Lord's able to tell you like, hey, thank you so much for what you did for this person, because what you did for him was able to do impact thousands, and even in tens of
Right.
thousands, and if not hundreds of thousands of people, because just of
Right.
legacy. And God only know, if God's the direction, and he's blowing the wind in the sails, God only knows how far it's going to go. And he wants to bless
Yeah.
this, and just the way that y'all's heart and what the passion that he's given you. So I mean, it's been a privilege. Of course, I know I'll be seeing you guys around probably a lot
Of
more
course.
now, being involved with
Yes.
Highlands College, which is amazing. But it's a blessing to interview you guys today, and thank you guys so much for your time.
Absolutely. And you're more than welcome on any one of these trips. We can
Yes,
talk to
sir.
you more about that, and anybody else that you know our hearts down.
Yeah.
Kind of what the mission is. You know what we're here to do, and that means that you'll be able to see other people that might have
Yeah.
that same desire as you that are in Highlands College, especially in the missions practicum.
Yeah,
that
global.
are,
Yeah.
just have on fire, that are global and they just have a heart for
Yes, sir.
the nations. So
Yeah, send them our way.
yeah,
Perfect. All right, will do. Thank you guys so much.
yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely, man. We love you. Lord bless you and keep you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.